Hey everyone, thank you for checking out this training today. Today we're going to talk about how to outline your online course that makes sense and increases completion rates. And if you want to check out this training and other trainings that we do, you can go to onlinecoursetraining.com and see the other trainings that we've done in the past. So let's talk about outlining our course today and go through and see if we can help make sense of how to outline your course and make it valuable for the student. So what to expect in this training, we'll do about 30 to 45 minutes of value where I'll just provide you with as much value as I can and just teach you some things that I've learned in my online course journey. And then we'll do some additional time at the end for Q&A. So if you're watching this live and you want to save your questions till the end, I will answer any questions that you have regarding online course creation, marketing, selling, anything of that nature. Before we begin, go ahead and take a moment and just turn off any distractions that you have. Give me your full attention. So silence your phones, close out any tabs that you have. I just ask for your attention during this because it won't take too long and I feel like it's going to be valuable, but I like for people to respond and to react and answer in the chat, answer in the comments, and just pay full attention. I want to respect your time, and I would like to ask you to respect my time so that we can knock this out and hopefully you can learn something from it. So if you're just watching something from me for the first time and don't know anything about me, my name is Jeremy Deegan. I'm the host of the Online Course Igniter podcast. That's a podcast where I interview successful online course creators. We're getting close to the 100 mark at the time of this recording, and I've had the chance to listen to some amazing stories. I've heard great strategies, and I've learned a lot myself along the way, getting to talk to these people who have created courses in all kinds of different niches and industries. And my goal is to try to relay that information to you of things that I've learned or things that I've heard other people using to much success along the way. So this presentation today is for anyone who is struggling to create an outline for their course. So are you someone who just can't figure out the order of content and how to get everything out of your head on paper? If so, let me know in the chat in the comments. I know that this is a common problem, especially for new course creators, is you have a lot of ideas inside of your head and you don't know how to organize it. You don't know how to put that information together. And we don't know what best information to use to get our students results. And we're going to talk about that today. So the goal for this presentation is to tell you the secret way to getting your students major success with your online course, the easiest method to know exactly what to put into your curriculum, and a simple strategy so that you don't leave out any valuable information and you're getting just what the student needs. So imagine knowing a process that lets you create course content quickly and is repeatable. How would that help you out if you had a process that you knew so that anytime you created a course, either here or in the future, you would know exactly what to do and what to put into that curriculum? Well, would you like to learn how to get all of your thoughts into a logical sequence for your course? If you're tuning in, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Is this something that you're interested in? What are your thoughts on creating outlines? Have you created an outline before? And is this something that you would like to learn? Hey, Gayleen, thanks for joining. Nice to see you. Okay, so let's start here. I've told the story before. You may or may not have heard this. I got my start on the Udemy platform about 8 years ago. I have over a dozen courses on the platform. I've also made about a dozen other courses with other instructors or through coaching or consulting them. And when I created this Photoshop course on Udemy, I had already created a handful of courses and I was getting really good at it and really getting a good student base. And when I wanted to create this Photoshop course, I was going to make this the best Photoshop course on this platform and on the planet. I had high hopes and high expectations for this course. So as you can see, the title, it's Photoshop CC for Beginners, Adobe Photoshop course. And it says it's going to teach you the basics of Photoshop for web design, graphic design, photography, and more. And I put my heart and soul into this course. I spent many, many months working on this course. I was locked up inside of my office. And I was sorry, just reading Craig. He said, my problem is not what to include, but what not to include. I always seem to have too much content. Okay, cool. We're going to talk about that, Greg. So stick around. So I worked diligently on this course, many, many hours a week. I was neglecting my family and just really putting my heart and soul into this course. And if you look down here at the bottom, you'll see that it's got about 15 hours of on-demand video. It's got 286 downloadable resources, project files. It's got assignments. It's got all kinds of stuff that I added to it because I just wanted it to be the best. And I spent a long, long time putting together this course, editing it. Anyone who has edited an hour of content knows that 1 hour could take you 20 to 40 hours of editing, depending on what kind of editing you're doing. So I really tried to make this the best course as possible. Unfortunately, you will see that it got a very low rating. And because of that, it never really took off. Now, I got a lot of students into this course. However, the ratings as people were coming in were just not that great. And it fell in the rankings on the search engine results page for Udemy and never really got to the top. And on this platform, it's a marketplace. You're competing with other instructors. And so it's kind of like Amazon or Google search. You need to be near the top to have any kind of significant revenue come in. I actually did I went back one day and I calculated the revenue of all the courses I've ever created. This course, even though I put probably some of the most time ever into this course than other courses, has generated less than 3% of all total revenue for any course I've created in the past. So I spent the most time working on this course, and it accounts for the least amount of revenue as my other courses that I didn't spend as long on, and we're going to discuss that. So here is one of the reviews that I got. Gene Marine says, very disappointing. While the instructor was passionate and detailed about what he was speaking about, so I knew the information, so much of the basic Photoshop arsenal was left out. I thought I put a lot in. This was definitely not a Photoshop course for photographers at all. I viewed many bought on YouTube, and I learned nothing new to photography and Photoshop. The description of the course was misleading. Nothing was mentioned on channels, what they are, how to use them for retouching. The filter section was geared almost exclusively to graphic design. If you're looking for a basic Photoshop course for photographers, and at the very least explains the basic of all panels and tools, then this course is not for you. Regarding tools, any basic course on Photoshop learning should cover all the tools and uses with examples and the idiosyncrasies and keystroke effects associated with each. So what this person is telling me is, and this is a great review. This is the kind of stuff you want. It stinks because it lowers your reviews inside of the platform. And as I said, that can hurt your revenue. But this is the kind of thing that we want to look for, because this person is basically saying that the Photoshop was not aligned to what she was trying to do, that I didn't explain the information in detail enough. And I had information in this course that was not relevant to her because she's trying to learn for photography, and I was teaching things around graphic design. So very important to pay attention to this kind of stuff. We're going to talk about this a little more, but I have many of these types of reviews on this Photoshop course saying that there was a mismatch, and we want to try to fix that. So what I learned was the value of the course isn't based on the features and how long the course is. I used to believe that the longer the course, the more money you could charge and the more money you would make. And if we loaded it up with assignments and features and downloadables and resources, and we made it a 16 or 20 or 30-hour course, that you could charge more money and you would make more money. And I found out that's actually not true. The value is based on the results the student will achieve and what's essential to those results. So you want to make sure that you are creating a program that isn't based on the length of the course, but is based on the results the student will get. And the more of a result, the more value that you can provide, not how long the course is, the more you can charge and the more money revenue that you will actually make in the end. So I was creating a course with unnecessary information while leaving out important info. And this is what Craig was talking about. Like, I don't know what to include, but what not to include. And sometimes that's just as important as making sure that you are not putting so much in there that it just becomes a big bloated course like I had created. So you need to make sure that when you outline your course, you're putting in only the information that's vital to getting your students results. That is the key takeaway here is we need to focus on the results of the students, not on how long or how big or how bloated our course is. So are you ready to learn how to outline your course in a way that will help your student the most? Let me know in the comments if this is something that you're interested in, if you're ready to get started here. I'm going to grab a quick sip of water. Okay, yes, very good. Okay, so let's start. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and we've touched on this briefly, is result-driven education. So the truth is you don't need hours and hours of content just to make your course seem bigger. You just need to get them to the result in the most efficient way. So let's think about this for a moment. Imagine to yourself that you are going on vacation, either with you, your partner, or your family, and you have 5 days. Your work or whatever is going on with your schedule permits you 5 days to go on this vacation. And the vacation that you are going to go on is actually far away. Maybe it's on the other side of the country. It's this destination spot that you've always wanted to go with. You've always wanted to take your family to, but it's on the other side of the country. So you can get there by driving. However, the driving is going to take you 2 days of driving there and 2 days of driving back, leaving you only 1 day to actually get to enjoy your vacation. Or you can take a plane, and a plane will fly you and get you there in 4 to 6 hours. You have the rest of the day, and then you have 3 or 4 days to spend with your family and enjoy your vacation. And then you fly back, which takes, you say, 4 to 6 hours. So which one would you choose? Obviously, you would choose the plane, because the plane is the more efficient way of getting you to your destination. And that means that when we are creating courses, we want to think in this type of terms. It's not about the features of the plane or the car, that it has a certain engine or certain tires or a wingspan, or that it's a convertible. We don't care. Students don't care about those things. They want a result. They want to get from point A to point B. And the more efficiently that you can get them there, the better that your course is going to be, and the more that you are actually going to get them the results and make more money. Because when you are getting people results, they tell other people, they become case studies and testimonials, and then that will actually increase your revenue. So the important factor here is that we want to be like the plane. We want to get our students to their destination in the most efficient way as possible. So focus on getting results as fast as possible, and your students will be much happier. So that you'll have happier students. They will feel like they're getting success and accomplishment. And this is the problem with my Photoshop course is, I had 15 or 16 hours of content where I just dragged on and on and on about tools. And I thought it was great information because I thought people wanted to learn all of these different tools and features. But it turns out that I was putting information in that course that was unnecessary. And I never focused on getting them the results. Now, the problem with this course is that I never stopped for a minute to ask people what they were actually interested in learning. This is something that I speak highly of, is that you need to go conversate with your ideal students or your ideal audience. You need to be asking them, what will help you get to the result? What are you looking for? What would you like to learn? How can I help you? I never did that with that Photoshop course. I just said to myself, well, I think I know what's best, and I'm going to just start recording videos. And 16 hours of content later, I had all these videos and they were worthless. And as I said, I got bad reviews and it never really made a lot of money. So do you see why it's more important to focus on the benefits of your online course and not the features? Does that make sense? Like we want to make sure that we're focusing on getting them results in an efficient way, not the features of the course, not how long it is, not how many modules or lessons it has. Does that make sense to everyone? Let me know in the chat if this is making sense to you. Absolutely. Okay, cool. You want to be thinking about that at all times when you're creating your course. You want to be thinking about a result-driven education. Results, results, results. That is what's going to help someone the most. I did another training And we talked about this also briefly. And it's very important. You want to make sure that you're doing that. So let's talk about the post-it brainstorming method, one of my favorites. So you might be asking, how do I decide what to put in the course and what to leave out? This is something Craig mentioned earlier. So, what do we decide on what to leave in, what to leave out, and what's a great way to outlining? Some people don't even know how to outline their course. They know the material, but they can't even begin to fathom how are we going to get this into a curriculum or into an outline. So let me teach you my best trick for outlining your course. I learned this years ago from Pat Flynn from the Smart Passive Income podcast. He mentioned this in a video that he had done, and it really, really stuck with me and resonated with me. I used it on many courses. I've taught many other people how to use this method. It's super simple, but very, very effective. It's so popular that other course creators like Sarah Cordner and Phil Ebner use it too. Sarah teaches this when in her class when she's teaching online courses because it's just super, super effective. So this is the post-it note technique. This is the method that we use to outline our course. Does anyone know what this is? Has anyone done this before? Let me know in the chat. Like, have you used post-it notes to outline your course before? Craig, Benita, Gayleen, I've seen Pat's video on it, but you've never done it yourself, Craig? It's super effective. And very, very easy. And it really gets rid of, Trello. Yeah, you can do this with Trello also. Trello is a great way to move things around in a similar fashion. So this is how it works for anyone who's watching this or watching the replay and you are unfamiliar with this. This is my favorite way to outlining a course. First, you get a stack of Post-it notes, preferably a couple of different colors if you can. You set a timer for 15 or 30 minutes. I usually like to set a timer because it just kind of helps me like focus and not be distracted. And I just focus on this for say 30 minutes. During that time, you're going to brainstorm every single idea you have on each individual Post-it note. So as you come up with an idea that might go well in your course, you just write it on a Post-it note. Generally, mine are very basic, like they're only a couple words. I don't get into details yet. I just want to get as many ideas out of my head onto this Post-it note. And then after that, you organize those Post-it notes into categories that make up your sections. So once we have those Post-it notes, a great thing about them is they have those sticky backs, and you can use your desk, or I like to use a wall, and you can put them on a wall and start reorganizing them into different ways and seeing what makes sense for the flow of your course. So finally, you trim any useless information that doesn't help the student get the result they need. This goes back to Craig's comment earlier that I know what to put in my course, but I don't know what to take out. Well, what you want to do is when you have your outline, you need to sit there and you need to really think, is this actually helping my student get to the result they're looking for? If you are teaching something and you are adding fluff or you are adding extra content because you think it's a nice to have, but it's not needed, then you need to get rid of it. And that is okay. It's okay to trim and get rid of some of the information inside of our course, because again, the sooner we can get them to the result they're looking for, the better off they're going to be. So let's take a look. Here are my Post-it notes. I've gone through and I've written down, I'm going to create a course on how to play the guitar, and I've written down all these different Post-it notes. So as I'm brainstorming, I'm like, okay, someone needs to learn how to hold the guitar. Maybe I can talk about guitar history. They need to learn how to play a chord and the G scale and playing a note and the techniques of the hand, building a guitar. So I go through and I write down as many ideas, and it doesn't matter if you're going to use them or not use them. The whole key in the beginning here is just to write down as many ideas as possible just to get it out of your head. As you begin writing, and that's always the hardest part, is just getting started. But if you can get like 3 or 4 Post-it notes written out, the other ones will become easier and easier as time goes on. You'll actually start thinking of more things and more things, and one idea will spawn more ideas. I thought to myself, well, they need to learn the G scale. And then I thought, well, shoot, they might as well learn all the scales. So the A scale, the C scale, the D scale, I could keep going on and on and on with those. So this is just a very simple example, but hopefully this just kind of drives home the point. So once we have all of our Post-it notes here, The next thing we want to do is we want to organize them. So we want to start moving the notes around and trying to see if things fit together that make a logical sense in the way that we want to teach. As you can see, I have the G scale, A scale, D scale. Those came at different times, and some of these things don't go together. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stick these Post-it notes on a wall or on our desk and organize them into a logical sequence. So here I've gone through and I said to myself, well, what would make sense? Maybe we could start with the history of the guitar, talk about the guitar in the 1800s and talk about famous guitar players, and then how to hold the guitar, tune the guitar, clean it, our left and right hand techniques, playing a note. So now you can see I'm starting to organize these and put them in some kind of comprehensive order that would make sense to the flow of our course, right? So that's a good thing about the Post-it notes, or say using a Trello board, is you can move these things around very easily. I like writing, handwriting. I like seeing it visually and touching the notes. I've used Trello before, but I always go back to Post-it notes because I just like the feel and the visual, and it's very quickly just pick up a note and move them around. So we've written all of our ideas down, and now we've gone through and we have organized those into a way. The next thing that you want to do is you want to trim what is unnecessary. Is there anything here that is not conducive to learning how to play the guitar? You have to remember, people are trying to get a result. They're trying to get from point A to point B. Some things are nice to know and nice to have, but is it really helping the person play the guitar? Does anyone see any Post-it notes here that you would take out? So if you were teaching a course on how to play the guitar, are any of these maybe ones that we could get rid of? Let me know in the chat. Guitar players. That one, yeah, guitar players, like famous guitar players. Like, is learning about famous guitar players really going to help someone play the guitar? That might be a nice blog post. It might be good content, but is that really helping people get to point A to point B? Excuse me. Also, Craig said history. Yeah, guitar history. Guitar history is nice, but does everyone who wants to learn how to play the guitar really care about guitar history? Not necessarily, because with guitar history, you could go on and on and on about the history of how the guitar was built. And a lot of people are like, I don't care about that. I just want to play a song. And so if you created this course and you spent 30 minutes talking about guitar history, 30 minutes talking about the guitar in the 1800s, 30 minutes talking about guitar players, you have spent an hour and a half of course teaching stuff that people don't care about. And that is what happened in my Photoshop course. Yeah, and Craig mentioned building a guitar. Some people might want to learn about how to build a guitar, but not everyone wants to know about that. That does not help the person who took this course to learn how to play the guitar, get them to their end result. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So you're right. Let's go through and mark those out. We don't need guitar history. We don't need guitar in the 1800s. We don't need guitar players, and we don't need to learn how to build a guitar. We only need things in our course that is helping someone get the result that they are going to need to know to get there. I have cleaning the guitar here, and you could maybe take that one out too. However, if you're going to be playing your guitar, it's pretty good to clean it and make sure that it's in good working condition. That one could come or go, but I would definitely look at these and say which ones are absolutely unnecessary. And then I just remove them. I say, I take those Post-it notes and I throw them in the trash and don't look at them again. So now we're left with these. All we have to do now is let's just reorganize these. So we reorganize them, and now our course is starting to make a lot more sense. First, you need to learn how to tune the guitar, and then we need to teach someone how to hold it properly. Then we're going to teach them a left hand technique so they know how to hold their hand properly on the neck. And then we're going to teach them the right hand technique so we can show them how to hold the pick. Then we're going to teach them how to play a note and then play a chord, maybe do some finger picking and maybe do some strumming. Then they need to learn the scales. Maybe they want to learn how to read music. Maybe we have a lesson on 10 easy songs that they can learn very quickly. Maybe they want to learn how to play with others. So we're going to teach them what it's like playing in a band or playing with other people. And then again, cleaning the guitar could come or go. But through this process, It's very quick and it's very effective, and it allows you to really look at everything on a big overview and say, what is necessary to this course and what is unnecessary? And you might reiterate this a couple times. I might look at this and say, well, they might need to know 2 more scales, so let me add the scales in there. Or maybe I forgot something that I needed to add in. Or maybe I did say, like after looking at this, yeah, cleaning the guitar, not really necessary. Let's get rid of it. So it's a reiterative process of going through and looking at your outline and fine tuning it. But the post-it note method is the simplest, in my opinion, to do this. I've used Google Docs. I've used Trello. I've used other Kanban boards. I've used post-it notes, and then I always go back to post-it notes. It's just the simplest and easiest to understand and to do very, very quickly. And it costs $1 or $2 for a stack of post-it notes. So then I just want to take these, and I can now say that these become our sections of our course. So the first section would be guitar basics, how to tune and hold the guitar, and how to use your left hand and right hand. Then we could get into playing the guitar, playing a note, playing a chord, finger picking, and strumming. Then we could talk about scales, and then we could talk about actually playing music. So as you can see, this is why I use a different color post-it notes, is because you can start grouping things and using colors. It's unnecessary, but sometimes the visual part of that kind of helps out. But look at this. In just a very quick time, I could outline my course in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour tops. I mean, generally, it isn't going to take you longer than an hour to come up with your course. But very quickly, we can use these post-it notes, lay them out, get all the ideas out of our head, which is the biggest part of that. You have all these ideas and you don't know what to do. So let's get them out of our head, out into a visual medium that we can see everything in one glance, and then start moving things around. And maybe you decide something doesn't fit and you want to move it or take it out or add to it. It's very easy to do that. So do you see how this method can easily get all of your ideas into an outline fast and allow you to trim anything that is unnecessary to the course? So if you're watching this and this is not something you've seen before, I highly recommend you go try that out. Okay. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the feedback loop. So how will you know if your outline is a success? I mean, you put this outline together, right? And you want to create a course on it, but you don't know if it's going to be a success or not. The first and main thing you need to do is to stop guessing what you think the student needs and start listening to what they're telling you. So this goes into 2 parts. And the first part is that you want to make sure that you're conversating with your student. So probably the best thing that you could do is to take this outline and go present it to your ideal student and say, does this make sense? Like, am I forgetting anything, or is there anything unnecessary here? If I would have taken my Adobe Photoshop outline and actually gone to that lady, what was her name? Jean Marie, with who was a photographer. And I was like, hey, this is what I'm teaching. Does this make sense? She would have been like, no, it doesn't make sense. I'm a photographer and you're talking about graphic design, and I need to learn how to use channels, and you don't have any information on channels, and you've got stuff in here that I wouldn't need. So by having those conversations with people, we can quickly find out if it's something that they're interested in or not. So you need to listen to what they're telling you. You also need to create a feedback channel for your course so that you can get input into what is working and what is not working. So this is something like the Udemy review system. You know, that it's great that they actually have this review system. It's a positive and a negative. It's positive because it can boost your confidence. It can help you in the rankings. It's negative that it can actually drop you in the rankings. But the best thing about that review system is that people will tell you honestly how they feel about your course. Sometimes it's hard to take, but if you take that information and you go back and you use it to make your course better, then you're going to have the best possible product. So this can be a community. It can be a review system. It can be comments. It can be surveys, or any way that you can get direct feedback in how your course is performing. So I've seen some courses before that have comments and individual lectures. So when people go through that lecture, they can leave comments and they can ask questions. And if you see the same comment over and over and over again, then that should be telling you that something isn't there, or they're not understanding something, and you need to go back and fix it. And so it's a refinement process. It's a feedback process of getting information, going back, making it better, and so forth. So, I mean, look at this comment here. This is a great example of that feedback loop. If I were to take the information here and go back and re-record that course and include the things that she's telling me that's missing and get rid of the stuff that she's telling me is unnecessary, then that feedback from her is going to make me have a better product. And what's great is when you have multiple people giving you feedback through comments, reviews, a survey, or anything like that, you will start seeing patterns. And those patterns are really the ones you want to focus on. Those are the ones that you really got to pay attention to, because if multiple people are saying the same thing, like I find out that the majority of the people taking my course are photographers, and I've been talking about graphic design the whole time, then there is a mismatch. So I need to either get better at the messaging and the marketing to only attract graphic designers, or I need to go back and fix my course so that it is more geared toward photographers. So you want to constantly be using some type of feedback loop or feedback channel in taking that information and refining your product. So the student has told me exactly what they need to be successful. So take that information and then go refine the course and make it better. Those people that listen to their students and craft a better program over time are the ones who see the most success in their online business. I can say for a fact that after interviewing dozens of people on the Online Course Igniter podcast, that there are many people who tell me that the course that's making them, thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars now isn't the first version, that they've gone back and they've re-recorded lectures, that they've changed things around, that they get better at the process. And so you want to make sure you're doing the same thing. Don't just set it and forget it. Go and talk to your students, ask them, like, what can I do better? What isn't making sense? What would you like to see in this course? What is in my course that is unnecessary? Those are great questions to be asking your students. And if you do that, you're going to get very enlightened into how to make a better program. You make a better program, people are going to be happier. They're going to get the results. They're going to tell more people. You're going to get better case studies and testimonials, and it's going to grow your business and grow your revenue. It's a feedback loop. It's a constant cycle of listening and refining and listening and refining. So do you see why you should be listening to your students and refining your program over time? Is that making sense to everyone? Are y'all doing that already? Or have you not thought about that before? Have you not done that before? Because it's super important. Yes. Very good. My man, Craig, holding down the fort. Thank you for being here. Thanks everyone else for listening. I just hope that this really helps you. So if you are struggling with your outline or you're struggling with what's in the course, the main thing to do is to sit back and look at it from a student perspective and say, is the information being presented first matching what I told them that they would get before signing up? Secondly, is there information in here that is unnecessary that I can take out? Third, is there information in here that I might need to put in? And fourth, are you talking to your students and getting, feedback from them to make that product better? Those are the things you want to keep in mind. So this is what we covered in the training today. This was a little shorter, but we will do Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me here at the end. I just really wanted to talk about this because I've had a lot of people asking me about outlines lately. I guess when you've been doing it for a long time, it's a little second nature, but if you're doing it for the first time, it can definitely seem daunting. So I wanted to make sure that I just kind of showed my process if no one had seen that before. But today we have covered why you should have a result-driven education, how to use Post-it notes to create your outline, and why you need a feedback loop in your course. So outlining your course is about thinking through the results that you can get your students and then paying attention to what they say to make it even better. So I have a question for you. Would you be interested in working with me to help you outline and develop the perfect curriculum for your online course? If you would like that, you can go to onlinecourseigniter.com/book. You'll fill out a short application and I will talk to you and see if we are a good fit together. And if you need my help in creating your curriculum and your outline, it's something that I love doing and I'm very passionate about. I'm a very big picture type guy. So I can see when there are, things from a distance that need to be addressed or fixed. But other than that, let's go ahead and take any Q&A. So if anyone is watching live and would like to go ahead and ask a question, it doesn't have to be on outlining. It can be on outlining, but if you have any questions just regarding course creation, marketing, sales, content, anything like that, just let me know in the chat and I'll be more than happy to help you out. So Craig says, I guess I feel that information I leave in the course might be useful for someone, if not everyone. That's why I find it hard to remove. You have to be careful. That's a double-edged sword. So it's like talking about guitar history when I use that example. There might be some people who would be interested in the history of the guitar, but most people who are coming to that guitar just want to learn how to play songs, and they will not be interested in the history of the guitar. Now, if I wanted to, I could create a second course called Guitar History, and then only sell that to people who are truly interested in learning the history of the guitar. So you have to be very careful, because in trying to please a couple people, you might be turning off a lot of other people. The Photoshop course, for example, I would probably be better off creating individual Photoshop courses for different markets. So a Photoshop course for only photographers. And in that course, I would only show the tools necessary for photography, because Photoshop can be used for photography and graphic design and many other things. So the graphic design tools aren't the same as the photography tools. So I would create a Photoshop for photographers and be very niche and specific to that audience. That way I'm not getting graphic designers and getting people who I'm putting in extra information to please both audiences, and then go create another course, Photoshop for graphic designers, and only show the graphic design tools. That way I'm not putting in information to please photographers when it doesn't need to be there. So I would make sure that you're being careful here, because by trying to please a couple people and saying someone means not everyone would be interested in that. And by taking the information out, you might actually be helping get them to the result faster. So if you have a 10 or 15-minute lecture on something that only a couple people are interested in, then you're wasting a lot of people's time for 10 or 15 minutes when they could be moving on to the next lecture. Does that make sense? And if you want to, Craig, if you want to put an example in the chat, I can maybe help you think through this. If you want to tell me what your course is about and what kind of information you think might not be for everyone. I've found, honestly, that more direct, to the point courses are performing much better than long drawn out courses with all the information. I'm getting to a point where I would rather sell a very specific result driven course that's to the point and gets them the result specifically that they're looking for from point A to point B without adding in a bunch of extra unnecessary content. Because those people are going to be super happy. I mean, if I could make you $1 million in 1 year, or I could make you $1 million in the next week, which would you choose? I mean, obviously you'd rather have the $1 million next week. And that's because you would rather have that result as soon as possible. You don't want to waste time if it's unnecessary. So why wait for a year to make $1 million if you can make it in a week? Well, it's the same thing with an online course. Why go through a 16-hour course learning every single unnecessary tool in Photoshop when I can teach you how to use Photoshop to be a professional photographer in 1 hour? Like, they would rather have the 1 hour course and get to that result, not waste their time as efficiently and as quickly as possible, than to take a 16-hour course going over a bunch of unnecessary information. Now, the time is going to be dictated on how long it takes you to get to that result. If you could teach someone in 10 minutes, that's fine. If it's an hour, that's fine. If it takes you 4 hours, that's okay too. If it takes you 16 hours to teach someone how to be a mechanical engineer or a software programmer, so be it. But the point is that you want to get to a state of efficiency where you're really helping them as fast as possible. So hopefully that helps. Do you have any other questions? Anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask? If you're watching a replay for this, I do put the replays up. I send out the email on Friday of the replay. If you go to onlinecoursetraining.com and you sign up, you can get the replay of this video, and I have a library of all the other trainings I've done in the past. So I'm more than happy to share those with anyone who has signed up. Well, cool. Yeah, if y'all don't have any more questions, then we will go ahead and wrap it up. Hopefully this helps give you some ideas and thoughts on how to view your course and some things to be paying attention to. If anyone never, or someone's watching this and has never used the Post-it note thing before, I suggest using it. It's really cool. You'll enjoy it. So other than that, thank you everyone for coming on today. I really appreciate it. I'll make sure that I get the replay of this up tomorrow, and I'll send it out to y'all. And yeah, thank you for your time and for being here.